To an alleged kidnapping and violent assault on the streets of Melbourne, which the Victorian Magistrates Court does not want you to know about.
Closed court on religion.
Extraordinary secrecy decree over accused activist.
That front-page splash in the Oz on Thursday naturally had no mugshot of the alleged kidnapper, but it did have a picture of the magistrate who issued the far-reaching suppression order and a redacted version of the order itself banning publication of the accused women's name, image, religion, ethnicity and family status. And the Australian did tell us that Victoria Police allege she was
involved in the abduction and torture this month of a man in his 30s.
The mystery woman is one of two people initially charged, but the court won't let us tell you anything about her co-accused or the victim either. However, plenty of people in Melbourne already know what's what, because the Herald Sun ran two stories on the case before the shutters slammed down on Wednesday evening, including this front-page splash.
Hate crime fear.
Prominent female human rights advocate accused of brutally kidnapping and bashing Melbourne man because he worked for a Jewish employer.
Wednesday morning's Herald Sun also didn't show us a picture of the accused woman because there was already a gagging order in place. But at this point, it did not stop them naming her and talking about her family, which we've redacted. And readers of the Herald Sun weren't the only ones getting the lowdown, because several overseas news sites, which we will not name, had already followed the Herald Sun's online story from Tuesday and run pictures and details that we can't show you, which the suppression order banned. And soon after that, the story caught fire on social media, where people were and still are commenting on what's on the net. And come Wednesday evening, despite the court granting a second, tougher suppression order, Sky's Sherry Markson was also piling in, telling us what she couldn't say and arguably adding what she shouldn't, which we have bleeped.
This woman now accused of alleged kidnap and torture of a man because he works for a Jewish employer. Last year, I had previously reported that the woman was who was sharing and propaganda online.
Sherry may or may not have breached the gag order with those comments, but she was certainly close to the line. And in the meantime, the Herald Sun had crossed it by publishing a picture of the woman's co-accused online on Wednesday, revealing plainly what the man's ethnicity and advocacy was likely to be. And that was not its only transgression. That Herald Sun story, now taken down, also took aim at Clementine Ford, a feminist activist who has not been charged and has nothing to do with the alleged kidnap, claiming she has close ties to the woman accused. Ford, who has indeed praised the woman on social media, responded on Instagram that she had met her once for coffee 3 months ago and accused the Herald Sun of gutter journalism, adding,
"The implication here is utterly disgraceful, and I absolutely will be speaking to a lawyer about it."
The Herald Sun also got it wrong in this Thursday story by blaming the cops for shutting down the case.
Victoria Police have successfully fought to suppress key details of the kidnappers and torturers.
But the police insist they did no such thing, telling Media Watch,
Victoria Police did not make any suppression order application relating to this matter.
And in fact, it was the defence who asked for both orders, no doubt to protect the accused. But potentially most serious of all, if it is wrong, is the Herald Sun's suggestion that the alleged attack was anti-Semitic because the victim worked for a Jewish employer. This was a claim that turbocharged coverage across Jewish news sites. But, according to Victorian Police,
this is not correct. That allegation does not form part of the case against the accused and has not been alleged in any evidence or material before the court.
Nor, indeed, does any police statement refer to torture, which is another key claim in the Herald Sun and Australian stories. And it says the man suffered only minor injuries. We'll have to wait till May 31st, when the case comes to court, to find out what the facts and allegations really are. But in the meantime, it's all a big, hot mess. We've got suppression orders that shut down the public's right to know and hinder good reporting, plus a free-for-all on social media and overseas news sites. And on top of all that, a suggestion from the police that the central theme of the Herald Sun's exclusive story is not even correct. All in all, it's a shambles, with the media unable to uncover, report and, if necessary, correct the facts.
More than 4 years after Zachary Rolfe fatally shot Kumanjayi Walker during an attempted arrest in the remote community of Yuendumu in 2019, the coronial inquest into the police shooting is in its final stages. The coroner's inquiry follows a 6-week-long criminal trial which saw former Constable Zachary Rolfe acquitted of Mr Walker's murder.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And as the inquest into Kumanjayi Walker's death continued in Alice Springs last week, and the man who killed him, Zachary Rolfe, finally took the stand, we got a startling insight into how one reporter for The Australian covered the shooting.
News Corp journalist offered to write article defending Zachary Rolfe 2 days after he shot Kumanjayi Walker dead, court hears.
Messages read out during the inquest revealed that Kristin Shorten, who was a friend of Rolfe because her partner was a fellow NT police officer, texted him to say,
"Hey mate, heard the news. Hope you and your shoulder are okay. Ignore the leftist reporting in the media. Hopefully catch up soon."
That was 2 days after the shooting, before she could possibly have known the facts. But the Australian's journo was keen to lend a sympathetic ear, telling Rolfe,
"I know what you did was totally warranted. If you ever want me to write an article in your defence, with or without naming you, say the word."
adding,
"P.S. If or when you want, I can write it without naming you or quoting you, so it sounds like we never spoke."
which, unsurprisingly, Rolfe liked the sound of, telling Shorten,
100%, I already thought about it. If I want to put my side out there, I would always come to you.
And did he do so? Yes, he did. The day after the trial wrapped up, this was on the front page of the Weekend Australian.
Cleared. Rolfe lashes top cops.
I was thrown under the bus to appease angry mob.
Kristin Shorten penned 3 front-page exclusive stories on the trial that day. And while Rolfe didn't take up her offer to make it sound like they never spoke, the Australian went one better, giving him space to air his version of events completely unchallenged and claim,
I'm no racist. If a white guy stabbed me and my partner, I'd shoot him too.
That exclusive interview with Kristin Shorten, which had been recorded on video a month after Walker was killed, was also packaged up into a documentary and plugged on the Australian's front page.
I don't care what race anyone is. I never have and never will. I would not do anything differently. I do not wish I'd done anything differently. So it's unfortunate, but I did what I had to do.
But last week, we got a different picture of the former cop from the inquest into Walker's death, where we heard about Rolfe's racist texts to colleagues and frequent use of force during arrests, with footage from his own body camera played to the court.
It shows him pushing 2 Indigenous men who appear to be intoxicated, fighting in an Alice Springs park.
Stay on the ground.
Around 6 minutes later, he tells a fellow officer,
I'd have to give them an infringement just to justify the use of force. Oh yeah. We'll give them both an infringement.
Later, in the muster room, Mr Rolfe watches the footage back, filming it on his phone, as he provides commentary to fellow officers.
Get 'em, boys. Bullets. Oh, bullets.
Rolfe was also grilled on his use of racial slurs in text messages to his colleagues and told the court there was a culture of racism in the NT police force. Yet he had assured Shorten in his lengthy interview,
I honestly have not witnessed racism among my colleagues during my time policing.
Shorten failed to challenge that claim, and another that he had been cleared of excessive use of force in all previous arrests. But that wasn't the only time she gave Rolfe an easy ride, as you can see from some of her extensive reporting on the case, which included features like this.
Private schoolboy fell in love with policing to help people.
Looking at these stories, it's pretty obvious where Shorten's sympathies lay. So, was it unprofessional of her to tell Rolfe she thought shooting Walker was totally warranted and offer to take his side? We think it was. We asked Kristin Shorten if she crossed the line by making such an offer. She told us no and added,
The journalism we produced speaks for itself. I stand by our fair, balanced and factual coverage of this story.
The Australian also called the paper's coverage of Rolfe fair and balanced and told me to watch.
The Australian reported all the allegations against Rolfe and many difficult aspects of this case. The fact Rolfe was an acquaintance of Kristin Shorten was fully disclosed in the first episode of our podcast.
Well, maybe so, but the relationship was not disclosed in her print articles, and those sympathetic text messages were only revealed in court last week. But now, to less serious matters, and some great news about a world-first fat pill, which the media just loves to swallow.
It's the quick visit to the GP that could hold the key to weight loss.
It's the latest way to lose weight and doesn't involve surgery nor injections.
A world-first gastric balloon is helping Australians win their weight loss battles.
2/3 of Australians are overweight or obese, which is why TV News loves quick-fix stories promising simple solutions. And this one was a beauty, an easy-to-swallow gastric balloon that produces immediate results.
Washed down with water, it unravels in the stomach and is then filled with saline. It stays in place for 16 weeks, then disintegrates.
7 News ran the story in its prime time bulletins, with, it appears, considerable help from a fancy press pack that described the balloon as world first and offered case studies of happy patients, one of whom 7 News interviewed.
Being able to have control because of having the balloon in my stomach was great for me.
And he was backed up by 7 with a reassuring doctor.
It's very safe, and I highly recommend this to patients who are appropriate.
And this exciting statistic.
Shed 10 to 15% of their body weight.
Which was taken straight from the press release. Easy, eh? But if you think this weight loss breakthrough sounds familiar, you would be right, because 7 News has told us about this gastric balloon twice before and sold it each time as new and exclusive.
Now, there's a new weight loss procedure that requires no anaesthetic, no sedation and no endoscopy.
This device is going to be a game changer.
That was 2021, with the same doctor as in last week's story. And less than 2 years later, 7 News pumped up the balloon again with another exclusive.
A high-tech stomach balloon, which you can swallow by yourself, is now available with early adopters sporting slimmer waistlines.
That's 3 stories in less than 3 years about the same gut-busting balloon, which, by the way, cost around $7,000 a pop. But 7 News is not the only guilty party. 9 flogged the fat balloon last week too, in 3 primetime bulletins.
A non-surgical weight loss treatment
is helping hundreds of people shift to a healthier lifestyle. Tonight, 9 News can show you how the unique gastric balloon works.
And yes, they're also repeat offenders, running the same exclusive story 2 years ago, with pictures of the device, a happy patient and a third-party endorsement. And did 9 include an independent voice in any of its stories? No, it did not. At least 7 tried, running cautionary comments from weight loss experts to say,
we know what happens, the weight tends to go back on.
They're short-term solutions, but they don't actually address the long-term.
We asked 7 and 9 why they keep running the same story year in, year out, and dressing it up as new. 9 defended its story, citing viewer interest. You can read their response on our website. But we did not hear back from 7. Finally tonight, to an extraordinary bust-up in the West Australian's newsroom.
Dude, are you kidding me, man? I'll smack the shit out of you right now. I'm not playing around. Yo, bring me all the way here for some media, man. This guy's talking his head off, man.
Wow, high drama. So who's about to lose his head? Well, the guy in the suit is the editor-in-chief of the West Australian, Anthony DeSegli, who's just told the guy on the right, a famous wrestler called Austin Theory, that professional wrestling is a sham.
What'd you just say?
I mean, it's fake. Like, you're not
what do you mean? What are you
hitting each other?
Hold on a second.
Yes, dangerous stuff. Unless the dust-up is fake as well, which, of course, it is, since it was staged for the wrestling circus from WWE that flew into Perth last month. And, of course, the West turned the bogus Biffo into a PR bonanza, renaming itself the Wrestle Australian and punching down on the story inside. And also online, with lots of posed pictures of the wrestler looking cross and the editor looking frightened. And naturally, the West also pushed the bust-up hard on social media, causing it to go viral around the world and allowing the West's colleagues at Perth Now to have a second bite. And was it real? Well, no. Like all these wrestling matches, it was not, with an obvious clue to the setup, kayfabe, planted in the story. Kayfabe being a term in professional wrestling, which, as Wikipedia will tell you, means
the portrayal of staged events within industry as real or true.
So, was anybody fooled? I'm afraid they were. Take a bow, Sky News media show presenter Jack Houghton, who was super impressed by DeSegli's ability to turn bad news into good.
Well, incredibly awkward for your staff to see you in that situation. But DeSegli decided to turn the video into an exclusive news story, which we are told drove enormous digital numbers. Sophie, it's a very interesting tactic to turn something that went so wrong into media coverage. It's very classic Anthony DeSegli for anyone that knows him. What do you make of it?
Tough question, because the Australian Sophie Ellsworth was clearly not convinced.
Was it all was this all totally just unfolding before the newsroom's eyes? Was there any setup here?
Oh no, said Jack, insisting that he knew better.
I did have the exact same thought. Is this a whole stunt as well? But you see the look on his face. He goes a bit red. He is incredibly awkward. I used to work for him and I know some of his mannerisms. That wasn't a setup.
Oh, really? So, is the West's editor-in-chief, whom Jack knows so well, prepared to support this conclusion? Sadly not. Anthony DeSegli told us in an email.
1 week on, I think it's only fair to all those worried about my safety to confirm that yes, it was indeed a spoof. I never knew my acting skills were so good.
No doubt Jack will be setting his viewers right next week. And that's all from us for tonight. You can read statements from Nine, The Australian and Kristin Shorten on our website. Don't forget Media Bites on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. But for now, till next week, goodbye.